This campaign is about senior citizens in my state and all over this country who are trying to get by on $12,000, $13,000 a year Social Security, and then they hear a Republican say, that's too much, we got to cut Social Security. What this campaign is about many of those seniors who can't afford prescription drugs and literally cut their pills in half in order to get the medicine they need, to heat their homes in the wintertime, to buy the food they need. This campaign is about saying that all of the seniors, all of the veterans in this country are going to get the benefits they deserve and the benefits they need. When we began this campaign about 9 months ago, people said, well, you know, Bernie Sanders, a nice guy, he's an interesting guy, he combs his hair very well. but he's just a fringe candidate, not to be taken seriously. Well, a lot has happened over the last 9 months. Politically, what's happened is that Iowa has the first caucus in the country, and I think we're in striking distance of winning Iowa. New Hampshire has the first primary in the country. I think we're a little bit ahead in New Hampshire. And on March 1st, Massachusetts has its primary. Don't tell anybody. We're going to win here in Massachusetts. When we began this campaign, we had no money, no organization, and very little name recognition outside of Vermont, to be honest with you. And when we began, we listened to a lot of the great political experts, and this is what they said. They said, you know, Bernie, in order to run a successful national campaign, you're going to have to raise a huge sum of money, and the only way you can raise that money is by creating a super PAC and begging millionaires in corporate America for funds. I'm just telling you what they said. But it took us about 12 seconds to conclude that we do not represent the billionaire class or corporate America. We don't want their money. And here is something really extraordinary that I am immensely proud of, and I would not have dreamed that this could have happened if I were here 9 months ago talking to you. And that is, we said, okay, we don't want a super PAC. We don't want the money of all these billionaire types. But we need a lot of money to run a national campaign. How are we going to get it? Well, we reached out to working families all over this country, and this is what happened. As of a few days ago, at the end of the year, we have received 2.5 million individual contributions. $2.5 million contributions, and in the last quarter, the average contribution was somewhere around $27. We have received more individual contributions than any candidate in the history of the United States of America. And what is significant about that is that we are showing the entire world that we can run a people-oriented campaign, a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people, and we're going to win without billionaire money. And the other thing about this campaign that we're trying to do is to treat the American people as intelligent human beings. And that is a very unusual approach in politics today. So what we have been doing is going all over this country. And by now, by the way, we have been at meetings like this all across America. We have spoken to over 440,000 Americans. And what we are talking about are, in fact, the most important issues facing the people of our country. And we're laying it out on the table because I believe that in a great country, in a democracy, we have to have the courage to look at our problems, to dissect these problems, to argue about solutions, and then go forward and resolve them. And let me just touch on a few of the issues that I worry about very much. First of all, there is an issue that to me is the great moral, economic, and political issue facing our nation. And that is the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America today. Now, in America today, we have more income and wealth inequality than at any time since 1928, and it is worse here than almost any other major country on earth. Today in America, and I want you all to hear this, the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Today in America, the 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Today in America, one family, the Walton family of Walmart, owns more wealth, one family, than the bottom 40% of our people. And by the way, turns out that Walmart is one of the major welfare recipients in this country because the wages and benefits they provide are so low that the taxpayers have to help the workers there with food stamps, with housing, and with health care. Now, you might think that if you were the wealthiest family in the country, you could afford to pay your workers a living wage. But it's not just wealth, which is what we accumulate over our lifetimes. It is income as well. All of you know that in your state, in Vermont, all over this country, we have millions of people who are working not one job, they're working 2 jobs, they're working 3 jobs, trying to put together enough income and maybe some health insurance to provide for their families. In my view, when you have millions of people working incredibly long hours, when in America we work the longest hours of any people on earth today, in a major country, industrialized country. Japanese are hardworking people. We work longer hours than the people of Japan. And yet, despite the fact that in family after family, mom is working, dad is working, the kids are working, 58% of all new income created today is going to the top 1%. So here's a radical idea. You want to hear a radical idea? Together, we're going to create an economy that works for working families, not just a handful of billionaires. And when we talk about the economy, we always talk about unemployment and jobs. So let me tell you something that some of you may not know. Once a month, federal government comes out with a report on unemployment, comes out with a number of reports. The official unemployment rate is 5%. The real unemployment rate in this country, including those people who have given up looking for work and those people who are working part-time, is close to 10%. Let me tell you something else that is very rarely discussed, and that is the tragedy of youth unemployment in this country. Youth unemployment. A few months ago, I asked some economists to do a study for me, and I said, tell me what real unemployment is for high school graduates, kids who graduated high school, who are between the ages of 17 and 20 years of age. And this is what they reported back. If the kids are white, 33% are unemployed or underemployed. If the kids are Latino, 36%. If the kids are African American, 51%. Now that is a tragedy unto itself. You're a young man, a young woman. You want to stand up on your own 2 feet. You want to make some money. You want to become an adult. You want to get out of the house. And millions of young people are unable to do that. But it is part of another tragedy as well. And that is that in America today, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. And if anyone thinks there's not a connection between high youth unemployment and 2.2 million people being in jail, I think you would be wrong. So here is radical idea number 2. And that is that as a nation, we should be investing in jobs and education, not more jail and not more incarceration.
Give me 1 second, guys. I actually think we have this figured out. I got to do one thing, and then I'll bring you back a much better picture. 1 second. Thank you.
Not more jail and not more incarceration. And when we talk about having more people in jail than any other country, we have got to recognize that we have a broken criminal justice system that needs major reform. There is a lot to be discussed. Please go to my website if you're interested in the issue. We have a very long document on it. But there's just one issue that I want to spend a minute on. And frankly, it's an issue that I did not know a whole lot about until a few months ago. And here's the issue. Right now, we have a Federal Controlled Substance Act. That's the law that lists drugs that are harmful to people, or ostensibly so. It turns out that right now, on Schedule 1, at the very top of the list, marijuana is in the same schedule as heroin. Now, there's a debate going on about marijuana, their strengths and the problems, but no sensible person believes that marijuana is the equivalent of heroin, which is a killer drug. And I am not here to advocate, seriously, anybody smoking marijuana or anything else. But this is what I will say. It turns out that over the last 20, 30 years, millions of people in this country have been arrested for possession of marijuana. And when people get arrested, you know what? You go out and you try to find a job, you got a police record. Harder for you to find a job. Truth is, a lot of lives have been ruined for people being arrested for possessing marijuana. And that is why I believe we have got to take marijuana out of the Controlled Substance Act. And when we talk about the economy, and when we talk about why it is that people are working so hard and so many hours, it largely comes down to the fact that wages in this country are very, very low. That's a fact. Now, you can do the arithmetic as well as I do. Federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Truth is, and I remember I was in Detroit last year, talking to some young people working in McDonald's in the fast food industry. They couldn't even they're earning $7.25 an hour. Some of them are parents. They can't even get 40 hours a week at the place they work. They're working in 2 or 3 separate places, taking buses from one place to the other. The truth of the matter is that $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. We've got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. And in my view, that living wage is $15 an hour.
Apologies again, everybody. What's happening at the venue is the Wi-Fi and cell signals are dropping, just jumping to massive spikes and then dropping back down, jumping up, dropping back down. It's wreaking havoc on the feed. It's affecting everybody. So hopefully we'll get it back here in a second. Apologies.
purchase your products, start manufacturing those products
But it
in
is
the
not
United
just
States,
the need
not
to
China.
create millions of decent jobs. It is the need to prevent
The loss of millions of jobs because of disastrous trade agreements. You're looking at somebody who was in the House, voted against NAFTA, CAFTA, permanent normal trade relations with China, and is helping to lead the effort against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And our message to corporate America is a pretty simple one. And that is, if you want us to purchase your products, start manufacturing those products in the United States, not China. We need trade policies that are fair for the American worker, fair for poor people around the world, and not just designed to make the CEOs of multinational corporations even richer than they are today.
Everybody, apologize for this. When I have audio, I can bring it to you. When I don't have audio, I can't right now, I have nothing coming through. Both Wi-Fi and cell signal bandwidth are dead. I appreciate you all being here. We can cut back to conversation if you want, and I can monitor this. It's up to you guys. All right, everybody. Before we lose you all completely. Celeste, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. I don't know what happened to Eddie. Let's go back over here. Before we lose everybody, sorry about this, guys. It went well, sort of. Actually, the live view gear worked fine. The problem is that the Wi-Fi at the place, and I'm looking at Janine's text here, is that the Wi-Fi at the place and the cell service at this place are they're just non-existent. And I'm watching the monitor bar bandwidth from the location, and it goes up to having some bandwidth and then nothing, and it stays that way for a long period of time. It's just there it is. There's Eddie showing up there.
They're at a high school gym, John.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to say that fast 3 times.
I got it. Yeah, it's so. What I want to talk to people about though is this right here.
Yes.
We may not be able to bring you a great stream today, but we will continue to work on that and get better with it. But this app right here is what will unify the grassroots movement, and I'm so excited about this. Bernie, our archive will be included in this app. This is the only application that is officially endorsed by the campaigns. We really want everybody to use it, get involved with it, download it, install it. You plug in your zip code, and It'll show you events going on in your area. You can post events. They're working on new features. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff with this app, but this is really how we're going to get together and know what's going on. So please, I urge you, it's the Go Rally app for Bernie Sanders. I guess you have to do a little bit of a search on it. On Android and on iPhone it shows up, or maybe it's the reverse one or the other. Either way, these guys are brilliant. They're an all-volunteer effort as well, and they're just part of the political revolution. You've got an app team that's built what we need to organize as a grassroots. And like I said, the campaign is pushing their data, official event information, and releases into this application. So this is not a silo piece of technology. And I want to say that, too, that there's a lot of people creating a lot of interesting pieces of technology for the campaign, and we need to unify around the website, BernieSanders.com. Everybody needs to go first. This is where we need to explore, learn what's going on, sign up, get registered. It's basically how you say, yes, I am here to join the political revolution. So go to the website. We've even got a section called Democracy Daily with a bunch of articles from journalists that are not, corporately owned, or not wholly corporately owned, at least. There's also explanation about what's going on in Iowa. Iowa is the key state right now. So, interesting. Sorry, reading notes over here. They're saying we're not on YouTube. We should be on YouTube. Should be hearing this on YouTube. We're streaming. They can't hear? Coming through. That would just be another thing that's that would make sense for today. Anyway, let me know what's going on, guys. Are we not hearing things?
I see you
Checking
on
monitors.
YouTube, Dad. I see you on YouTube.
Oh, good. Cindy, not sure what you're saying.
But can you hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see bars bouncing up and down. All right. Anyway, get that app. Go to the website, BernieSanders.com. Then go to GoRally.co. GoRally.co. And then from there, you can click on the link that'll take you to the Android store, the iPhone store, and you can see where the app is. This application has got everything you need in there. You can post stuff. They're going to be adding new stuff, but this is really how we're going to organize it. It's got a tab on it called Activism. I love that. What's going on? What can you do right now, today, to help Bernie Sanders? And I wish Janine was with us, because she was doing phone banking from her state, Rhode Island, for Iowa. And that's something that we can do. And what I found interesting about that, I'm just going to drop this right here, is that as she was making calls, so Janine's making phone bank calls from Rhode Island to Iowa, and she said that everybody she talked to was either undecided or supporting Bernie. She got almost no Hillary, no Trump. So, you can hear what the corporate polls and the corporate media is trying to tell you, but the reality is the boots on the ground work. The people that are actually doing the effort to get Bernie Sanders elected can tell you that the people of the United States are behind Bernie Sanders. There may be a few corporations and stuff backing Hillary, but the people are behind Bernie Sanders, and that's really good to know. So, where are we going to go with the Celeste and Eddie? What do you want to talk about? I'm dominating here. So terrible.
It's fine.
There you go.
Yep, you're gonna find me lounging, because why not? All right. I guess let's start. Are we gonna try to get the stream back up or not? Sorry.
At this point, I can look at it, but I doubt we're going to try to get it back up. So if you want to run into one of the other pieces, or talk about some of the other information, or wrap it up, it's up to you guys.
All right. We'll just start the Afterburn script. Welcome to the Afterburn. Through another, since we couldn't see the speech by our amazing socialist grandpa Bernie Sanders, let's see how the comments and see if there are any questions so far. I forgot your name. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, we've got some questions. People were saying that, or were asking about, why do you think Elizabeth Warren hasn't come out and endorsed Bernie yet?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't know. I really don't keep up with Elizabeth Warren. To be honest, I've recently found out about her like a couple weeks ago. Like in this comparison thing. Like this comparison website. I can get that to you guys later. But do you know Celeste?
I would venture to guess that Elizabeth Warren is playing a very shrewd political game right now. I think she's going to withhold giving any nominations prior to letting the people vote and letting the people choose who they want. I think if an endorsement comes from Warren, it's going to come probably after the nominating convention. That's my thought. That's my thought.
All right.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a reason she's not just coming right out, and I think you're right. I think she's more concerned with the people's choice, and then she will support that candidate and not try to influence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and again, when you look at her record and you look at her platforms, she's much more aligned to Bernie Sanders than, Hillary Clinton as far as that goes.
Yeah, which makes it seem like it would be an obvious endorsement, which I think is where a lot of the wondering why she hasn't publicly said anything.
Well, she also has an election that's going to be coming up, if memory serves, I believe it's in 18. She's up for re-election.
Yeah,
And
I think
so-
she's played it close because she's worried about her job. I'm just going to be honest. I think if she were really smart, she'd just back Bernie right now, but instead she's worried about who she's going to get a job with. That's what it looks like to me. I'll just come out and say it.
Oh, so you think that she's... Put your face up here, John. Come on, get in
All
the
right.
conversation then.
Join
I don't
us.
understand. like the battlegrounds have been drawn. It's very clear. I don't think, and no offense to Elizabeth Warren, Jill Stein, even O'Malley. Look, they don't have a chance. We all know how this goes. They don't have a chance, and it's time to take a stand. And I don't know why any woman would want to stand for Hillary Clinton. I don't know why any woman wouldn't look at Bernie Sanders and go, "Yep." I mean, we've been asking this since the beginning. Why is Elizabeth Warren not going with Bernie? I have from the beginning. I think she'd make a great choice for anything within his cabinet or vice president, whatever. So I'm a little perplexed why she's not decided to take a stand there, or why she thinks she has an opportunity in this race, or I don't know. Yeah. So it seems to me to be, I don't know, maybe a calculated job move in that sense. So there, I said it.
So if I understood that correctly, you think that she may be looking for a cabinet position in a Hillary administration?
I think she's looking to make sure that whatever she does, she doesn't piss off whoever's going to win. That's just what it seems like to me. Anybody right now that's not willing to just take a bold stand and say where they stand, do you stand with the people or do you stand with corporations? Or are you some wishy-washy person who's hoping that in the end of all of this, you can still end up with a job?
Oh, well, you see, we're still dealing with politicians, though. So even though we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, let's face it, there are not a lot of people, men or women, in elected office who have the integrity, the thoughtfulness, and the moral courage that Bernie Sanders does. You can't go through any of the videos about Bernie Sanders over the decades that we've got videos to look at on YouTube. You can't find that man who is not willing to talk truth to power. And
Right.
He does not give a fuck what they think.
Agreed. And listen, I'm not putting down Elizabeth Warren at all. I think she's a great person. I really don't know much about her, honestly, and her career. Right. What I'm saying is that there have been politicians that have stood up and said, "I'm with Bernie."
Right.
I think the moment they do that, they get marginalized. They get black hole.
Right.
And I think for her, if she still thinks she has an opportunity to win the elections, that's why she's not made a stand. I mean, but I don't know. It doesn't make any sense right now. I don't get it. So. Well,
that's where I go back to. She's a politician. She's having to be a politician because if you actually look at her donor base, she's not completely free from the billionaire, billionaire set. But here again, that's both sides of the aisle, and that gets back to the situation we're cuckolded into, which is we got two fucking parties that have designed a political system out of a system that we were given by our founders, and they have perverted it into a system that makes it so it's only one of two parties. We could have more parties, but the people have to be willing to take the chance that they seem to be willing, back in the 90s when we got Bill Clinton. And, people want to blame that on Ross Perot, but maybe what we really need to focus on is the fact that a segment of the population was expressing dissatisfaction with both parties, and they chose the third party candidate. And the more people that are dissatisfied with both the Republicans and the Democrats, you can actually build a third party movement, but people have to be willing to work to do that.
Well, and it has to have money. It has to have, you can't, like you said, it's been rigged. If you don't have money and power, you can't create a party and do anything.
But herein lies the rub. If we get Sanders the nomination, we get him elected in the general, we get him to help start pushing the legislation he's already put through the Senate that he's placed in there. It's already there waiting for him to be president. But we also need, to talk about down ticket issues in that case, because he can't do it alone. He needs fellow-minded Democrats in office with him in Congress and the Senate to help push his agenda through, but he's also going to need us. He's also going to need us.
Yeah. Well, we have to kick out all of the corrupt individuals that are in office now. We have to basically say, you have a choice. You can either start passing legislation for the people, start working with us, stop spending 54% of our money on war so that you can be rich. This is what we want. We are going to eliminate politicians that do not actually listen to the people. We're going to get rid of you. One way or the other, we're going to get rid of you, and we're going to put real people in office to work with Bernie. But this is the crux of the issue: is getting Bernie in there first and cutting through all of the lies that we have to cut through, like this today, trying to make this happen and not being able to make this happen, so we can bring Bernie to some more people.
Right.
We fight the very industry that was actually there to protect us and to be a check and balance for the government, and that is corporate.
Yeah. Yeah, they've perverted that too, because you go back to the press. Freedom of the press is the only industry, the only business in this country that is part of the Constitution, because it's the fourth estate. It's what's supposed to protect us, to inform us, to educate us, to serve the knowledge of keeping the country a democracy.
Yeah.
That poorly worded in that last end, but.
Well, it's it's been destroyed, right? There was the Fairness Act, the original agreement with the corporate media networks that said you have a responsibility to broadcast the news fairly and balanced to the public if we're going to allow you, as the United States of America, to use these airwaves. That was the original agreement. And then in 1986, good old buddy Ronald Reagan, the hero of everybody America who likes to swing a dick, right? Ronald Reagan and his Congress eliminated the Fairness Act. I don't know how
with help from the Democrats.
Yes,
with help from the Democrats.
This is
because they held the House.
Yes.
They held the House during the 80s. They held the House during Reagan's terms.
This is our corrupt Congress in action, and they did this because there was a lot of money passed back and forth. They did this because big corporate media networks now really had control over the government, because they really had control over what was being said. And so in 1986, they basically told everybody, you no longer have, you don't have to tell the truth as a news agency, and you don't have to be fair, and you don't have to be balanced. You could just make up whatever the hell you want. It's okay. We get it. Freedom of speech. Yeah, just make up what you want. Forget the contract you have with America. Forget the check and balance you are supposed to be so that the government doesn't run ripshod all over America, which it has. Forget the fact that you are supposed to operate with integrity. Forget all of that, because we're going to get rid of this act so that you and I can make more money. That's exactly what happened in 1986. Our politicians said, we can make more money this way, can't we? If we get rid of this thing and just let you say whatever the hell you want. And then even better, in 1996, they created the Telecommunications Act, which says now you can do that same bullshit with political content. You can take our political speech and turn it into entertainment news so that you can make money, and we can make money too. And look at what else it does. It allows us to completely control the message across the board. So we can get people elected, we can get people unelected, we can make up whatever story we want, We'd explain to people that this war was started by these people for these reasons, even though we know the truth. And now we're here today, where we're creating volunteer networks so that we can actually get people to understand the truth about our corrupt politicians and our corrupt corporate media networks. This is where we're at today.
Yeah, and it gives the voice to people who have no voice. You know, I mean, I can go right into the why we need volunteers to come on and do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy ranting, but it's easier for me to hide behind the screens and do the comment moderation. But, you know, I've got an opportunity, and I want people to be aware of you know, what I see taking place. The information John was just talking about it's a form of wealth transfer, but it's from one wealthy group to another wealthy group. It's, you know, a wealthy group of donors who are getting together, who are buying advertising, you know, on air in your communities, right? This is your communities they're coming into. These are people who don't live in your communities, but they want to have influence over the politicians that are sitting in your city council, your mayor's office, your state legislatures, you know, because they have an agenda, and that agenda does not fit the 99%. It benefits the 1% who have set our system up over the past 35 years so that we have to sit here and do these kind of things. You know, I mean, I'm a bookkeeper, pencil and paper pusher by career training, but I'm here doing this because I have the chance and I have the opportunity, and we need you to bring your voices to you know, the network too. We need you to, you know, use the Go Rally, find Bernie rallies, attend them, bring us a live stream if you can, help us out. You know, come on air. You know, work on getting the information in your municipality out. Work with people in your community. You know, we have to build a community again. We have got to learn how to work together. We have got to learn how to work together.
Oh yeah, and thank you, and that's important. I mean, like Janine's down there trying to grab her stream with the with her phone, and we were just talking about it. You know, the issue was they shut down. Just so you know, it doesn't matter when we send a person out. Like Janine had the LiveView app, which actually boosted service, but there was no cell service. There was no Wi-Fi at this high school. Right? We have one LU70, and that's what cost us the bulk of our crowdfund money. And that LU70 is the only kind of magic that will actually stop what just happened today from happening, because it's 6 cell phones packed together, and it's 6 of them on their own data networks. It's different from what we were doing with this LiveView gear. There's 2 pieces of gear that we had there. So the LU70 right now is in Iowa with Scott, and we're desperately trying to get it to the JJ dinner. There's another JJ dinner in Vegas, and I'm hoping that we can get it there and broadcast that event for you with that, and you will see the difference between what happened today and there. But truthfully, you know, this is going to happen anywhere we go where we don't have the infrastructure to broadcast it, and that's really what it is. So this is, you know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist when I say to you that the lack of our ability as citizens to organize, to engage together like this, to group organize, is not. I mean, the government is aware.
It's by design.
Thank you. It's by design. That's the word I was looking for. They don't want us organized. They don't want us informed. The 1% has no interest in us really understanding what's going on and having stations like ours and other independent media stations really trying to explain the reality. We need your help to share our videos, other videos, the truth with as many people as you can. And we're talking about the people who are disengaged from the web, the people who are so indoctrinated to the way corporate media functions that they think everything that comes out of their mouths is truth. These are the voters that we've got to worry about the most. Voters that you know, can see past their noses, I'm not worried about it. It's the people that are so indoctrinated into the mainstream media bullshit view that they believe all the words that come out of their mouths. These are the scariest people in America right now because they are ill-informed. And the goal of this network was to inform the electorate. And the only way that happens is if the electorate gets access to this information. And so when shit like this happens today, it's corporate media saying, screw you. you're not going to teach anybody the truth. We're going to do our best to keep the truth from the 99 because it's certainly not in our interest. So if anything makes you guys angry, this is what makes me furious. Furious that I can't bring you guys Bernie Sanders. It says, for all the effort and time that our volunteers spend doing this, when shit like this goes down, I just want to run into the CEO of Comcast's office and strangle him. I'd love to meet him in a dark alley. And that's how I feel about corporate media. And that's how I feel about the relationship between corporate media and our corrupt politicians. And so, think about this. Today we were going to watch Bernie, and we can't. And we have to fix our nation. We have to fix our nation, or this will get worse. This is only going to fall down, and we are headed into things that we fought against in World War II. We are headed to that as a nation. So, I don't know where to go from here, Celeste. We have other videos we want to play, things we want to pull up. Janine is saying it's over down there, by the way.
Well, why don't we check in with Ryan and see if what our watchers have to say, and then I will ask everybody to bear with me for just a few moments. I grabbed a couple of photographs of some political actions that I was involved in over the past year. A gentleman that is a Vietnam veteran and a peace activist, he passed away, and when we come back, I can talk about that. If we can go to Ryan and see what we got going on in chat and how frustrated they are.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah. Hi, guys. So yeah, people have been frustrated in the chat that we can't get the stream going in an understanding way, of course. There's been a lot of funny jokes going on about how it's the Trump and Hillary supporters that are messing up our stream and things like that. So all in all, I mean, they're genuinely thankful for us even trying to do this, and for the most part, understanding. We got a few questions we could talk about.
So.
John, Moose-Gal asked you kind of specifically, how do we reduce the flow of propaganda in American politics? I know, that ties into the corporate media and everything, but what can we do other than check out sites like this, that are trying to independently tell the people what's going on?
That's a great question. The only thing there's a ton of things we can do. It depends on what you're able to do resource-wise. Sharing the truth on social media is always good. As I said in my video the other day, talking to your parents, talking to anybody that doesn't use the internet, that wouldn't necessarily look at anything but mainstream media. How do we reduce the propaganda? We reduce the propaganda by putting pressure on mainstream media to not produce crap. By not watching their shows, right? That's the hardest part right there. Is I love entertainment media. I watch tons of TV. I like all of that stuff. I don't like when my political content is turned into entertainment shows, though, and when the truth is removed and spewed into bullshit. And so we just need to separate that. We need to seek out journalists and media individuals that are acting with integrity and morality, and we need to praise them. We need to push them forward in social. We need to shine a big spotlight on them. This is no different than what happened in the early 1900s with the muckrakers and Teddy Roosevelt and on. I say this story a lot, but I think the more and more we say it, the more people will understand that we are repeating history right now. It's very, very, very sad to say that we've actually gone back 100+ years in our history. Teddy Roosevelt in the early 1900s was a journalist, and he enjoyed writing, and he was not a stupid person. And his government, his corrupt government and corrupt corporations and media individuals, sound familiar, were all telling Teddy, the president at the time, that everything was fine. Children are working, and it's okay, and people are working 60+ hours a week, but that's okay. And we don't need any other laws for anything. You're hearing complaints from these poor people. They don't. Just ignore them. Everything's fine. until independent journalists started bringing Teddy Roosevelt the truth and showing him what was going on, writing articles about it, bringing pictures into the office. And he would sit there in the Oval Office and look at this data, and this was the best he had. This was the internet of the day with the journalists and the newspapers. And he would read what they said and compare it to what corporate media was telling him and what his own government officials were telling him. And he said, something's not right here. Something's wrong. And the problem today we have the internet. So we have an advantage, a massive advantage over what Teddy had and the muckrakers had. But we also have a disadvantage because corporately owned media is 10 times more ginormous than they were back then. And because our government is 10 times more corrupt than it was back then. And they've been doing this for a long time. And also, well, Bernie's not in office yet. Our Teddy Roosevelt, our FDR, he's not in office yet. And we have to get him there. And the only way we're going to do that is by showing everybody in America the truth, the independent media, and telling corporate media to shut up, that we're not going to pay attention to their bullshit anymore. We're not going to watch their programs. How do we reduce propaganda? There's one way. Turn it off. Turn off the TV. Turn off the stream. Watch the internet. Watch programs like this. Watch other shows. I'd love for everybody to compile a database of independent news sources that actually provide news with integrity. And then we as Americans need to focus on these stations and drive ratings for CNN's newsroom down into the floor. Drive ratings for Fox bullshit news down into the floor. But we are the people that have to do that. We. That's it. And as I said in my video the other day, my dad watches mainstream news. Most people I know over 50 watch mainstream news. They don't watch the internet news. So buy people smart TVs. Show them where the good news is. That's it. I know that was long-winded, but that's it. What else, Ryan? What else we got there?
Let's see. Jonathan asked if do you think Trump will run as an independent if he doesn't get the Republican nomination? And what impact would that have on the general election?
What do you have to say about that, Ryan? Eddie?
I think Trump definitely has the ego that if he doesn't get the nomination, he would run independently like that just to show that he could do it.
Yeah, I can see him doing that.
I don't really know what that would do to the election in general, though. I guess it really depends on who the Democratic nominee is. I think if it's Bernie, then it's going to give him a better chance. If it's Hillary, I think that, I don't know. That could go either way.
Yeah. My thoughts, I think he'd probably get a better chance than what he is now. It would probably close the score, how it shows that Bernie would, he would destroy him by multiple points if he would, if it was Bernie versus Trump. But what if it was Bernie versus independent Trump? That's we're probably getting a good amount of the party shifting towards Trump, or the undecided, but that few, that go right, or independents that are more right, they go with Trump, which sort of causes a problem for us. Yeah.
Well, you know what you're missing in that equation, right? That's who's going to be the Republican candidate. If you have, whether it's Hillary or Bernie for the Democrats, and you have Trump running independent, who do you see is going to be the Republican candidate? Okay. That there's kind of your wild card right there.
Yeah.
The other thing to take into consideration is, one, if it's Bernie, it's not going to matter who the Republican or a Trump independent's going to be. The majority of people are going to go with Bernie because he's going to be the sane candidate from the podium who is talking about change, real change, legislative change, making a difference in this country. If it's Hillary, we're going at the status quo. And you still will have choices because the Green Party will be there. Jill Stein she's running for the nomination of that party and more likely will get it. It's not that there's not going to be choices. It's, how are you going to vote? What is going to make you comfortable in your own skin when you walk out of that voting booth?
And I think that's the big appeal of Bernie Sanders, too, is that he's running the same campaign right now against Hillary as he will against any Republican nominee. If there's a Trump independent campaign, he's not adjusting his style of campaigning or his message based on his opponent, like a lot of politicians end up having to do in elections, that they get different subjects drawn out of them by the people they're debating and the messages from the other side. And Bernie has the benefit of having such a consistent message through and through that, like you said, Celeste, it doesn't really matter who the nominee is from the Republican side or if there's a Trump independent run. You're going to get the same old Bernie and his populist, appealing, fair message.
Exactly. I think there are a lot of admirable things to say about Hillary Rodham Clinton. Let me be real clear about that. I do not hate her. I do not want to vote for her as my president, and she is not going to get that vote. That I've always been very, very clear about. And I have my reasons for that. And one of my reasons is that I do not want to spend 4 years listening to crap about Bill Clinton and 8 years of his administration and what he did, whether I agree with his sexual dalliances or not, because the Republican Party ain't no party of family fucking values. Thank you very much. Their dicks have been dipped in a lot of places where they shouldn't go, when they shouldn't be going, when they're going after someone who's got his dick going someplace that shouldn't be going either. You have that. You have the female issue. My God, do you not think that any decision Hillary makes, especially when it comes to war, when it comes to bombing, when it comes to the foreign policy of this country, do you not think that no matter how that woman decides, that Republican Party and its sick, twisted, fuck warmongering it's not going to be enough. It's going to be worse than what we've had under 8 years of President Obama. And they've done that because they want him to be a Muslim and they just don't like the color of the man's skin. Let's be honest.
Do you think, I know Bernie has come out and said that he wouldn't do an independent run if he didn't get the nomination, but do you think he would get enough pressure from the people to at least strongly consider it?
Oh, yeah. I'm very conflicted. I almost don't know how to answer that question because I'm very conflicted in my feelings on it. In many regards, in many respects, I would like him to run as an independent. I would have preferred that he had done it all along, but I understand clearly his reasons why. But to me, we've had this discussion a little bit off camera, in some of our planning and stuff, but it's not really been talked about at any length that it needs to be on air or just in general. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. Given what we already know about how the DNC has scheduled, the 6 debates, how they've buried them on weekends, how they've buried them up against sporting events, given what we, have recently dealt with the NPG van bullshit, and the Sanders campaign having to go to court because they weren't given access to their own information. There's hesitation in getting any type of independent investigation going. What type of enthusiastic support is the Democratic National Committee and establishment Democrats who have all touted out for Hillary? What are they going to do for Bernie if he wins the nomination? How much support do you really think that that man is going to get from that party? And that is my biggest concern, because I don't think they're going to try to support him, because that fucking party attacks any progressives within its own goddamn party.
I'd have to agree with you. I'd have to agree with you, and I think this is what it looks like. We either see the Democratic National Party or whatever, the DNC, bow down and recognize that there's a new gig in town. there's a new guy, and the people want their country back. Or they do everything in their power to corrupt our vote and make sure that Hillary wins the primary, which I won't accept at all. And I won't vote for her. I will not vote for any corporate Democrat. I don't care who the hell they are. And so I will urge Bernie to go independent, and I think we could create a massive, massive revolution to make sure that happens. I think you would see for the first time a third-party vote that would exceed the other two traditional party votes. I think that's what would happen. So anybody that says, "Oh my gosh, if you had to run independent, he'd destroy it. The Republicans would be elected," bullshit. The Republicans will not.
They need to be destroyed.
The Republicans will not get elected. I guarantee you, if a Republican president comes to office, there will be a large portion of America that will just raise arms and go to war. We will not allow a Republican, any of those disgusting human beings, any of them, to take office. I won't. I won't stand for it, because those men are abhorrent. And Carly Fiorina, I'm sorry, there's just not a single person among the Republican lot that is worthy of any job in government, much less the President of the United States. Most of them couldn't even pass a high school exam. So I don't even want to see them near it, and I guarantee you the American public will not stand for it. So anybody that says, "Oh, we'll end up electing Republicans, maybe, but we'll go to war immediately after that," it won't happen. It won't last for a year. I guarantee you it won't. There are too many pissed off Americans. Republicans get into office, the first thing they're going to do is destroy the very few things that Obama managed to accomplish, right? That's other than what Obama really accomplished, everybody, was to really, really increase our military around the world. Is what he really did. But that's a whole other story. The Republicans are not going to win. Bernie, if he goes independent, would completely devastate the scene, and he would win as an independent, one way or another. That's my personal view.
But see, Bernie is a man of too much integrity. He will not go against what he said that he would do, which is he said that he was going to run as a Democrat, that he would support whoever the nominee was, and that he would campaign like hell to get that nominee elected. And so, we're looking at either HRC or we're looking at Martin O'Malley. We know where the coronation crown is headed towards, and it's headed towards the lady with the nice do, and who likes to wear pantsuits. Again, Hillary is a very accomplished woman. I am not going to take that away from her. She has achieved a hell of a lot in her lifetime. I don't necessarily care for a lot of her politics. I don't like the way she's done it. But then, there are. Bernie is just not your typical politician. He's not your typical politician.
You're talking the difference right there. It's time for us to stop being accepting of the fact that the reason we're okay with this nominee is because they've got a distinguished career. Right? And I'm not putting down Hillary. Yes, she's got a lovely career, but a lot of that career has to do with backstabbing politics. Mm-hmm. A lot of that career is simply taking money, making herself money. Taking money, making backhanded deals. I'm sorry, I don't really care where you went to college or who you are, whether you're a woman or a man, what trials you've had in your life. If you're not functioning in this world with integrity, I don't give a shit. You don't get to be the president. You don't get to run my country if you can't find some integrity. If your life has been spent making backstabbing deals with politicians and making people think that what you're doing is good stuff. We're waking up. We're waking up.
Therein lies the rub, John. Therein lies the rub. When you think about it, it's, again, you have a man of integrity. How are we the people going to be able to convince this man of integrity that, no, we want you to go third party. No, we want you to go against what you have promised to do?
Well, I'll say this.
How do we do that?
And then I want to know what Eddie has to think, because he's over there just kind of lounging there. I'm going to put him in the shot anyway. But here's the thing. He said that at the very beginning. I don't think anybody would hold it against her if he said, I just really wasn't expecting it to do this, to be like this. We have to. Because if you think about it from the beginning, he was not as... his tone has gotten harsher and harsher. As
He's
he
angry.
realized, when he realized just what he was up against with corporate media, at the beginning, he wasn't pounding them. And then he started pounding this. I think his attitude's changed. I'm not speaking for Bernie, and I'm not saying that he's going to change his mind or anything. I'm just saying that I certainly wouldn't hold it against him. He said, you know what? Originally I said, yeah, the hell with it. No. I'd be like, that's huge. Fine with me, Bernie. Go ahead. We've got your back. I think that's what the American public are saying. Whatever you do, we've got your back.
Well, and I think that's the message that we truly need to start sending, especially with the shit he's just gone through with the DNC.
Yeah.
That really is the message, but we need to get him through the primaries. We need to get him through Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina into the Super Tuesday. We need to get that done.
Eddie, massive high school student who just got good grades. Tell us what you think here about all this.
Well, sort of. Got good grades.
From what I saw, they look good. So,
Except math, but that's
what do you think about all this? What do you think Bernie should do? And would you vote for him if he ran as an independent?
If he ran as an independent, I'd rather go independent if I had to be honest. For of the stupidity that has been going on recently, with the DNC and my family has been lifelong DNC, not DNC specifically, but we've registered as Democrat for for a while, and I've been the Democrat for a while, and I've supported them. But I would support, I actually would support a Green Party person or independent if the time actually came to it. I wouldn't have a problem with it, and I would have no problem if Bernie just got up and said that he's running as independent. I think it'd be better for him, so he'd probably get more coverage, and probably the independents would probably go with him too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this time it would snowball. Although Celeste and I can both say from the past that we have seen every independent ever try just get trounced left and right.
Yeah, I've seen it. I forgot.
Yeah, but they weren't Bernie.
They weren't Bernie.
They weren't Bernie.
The last independent I remember going in, in full fledged was I forgot his name. There's an independent for 2008, which I forgot about. Yeah.
There's always one.
Yeah, but then it's but they're barely even noticed.
That's corporate media.
Except Jim Webb for his 15 minutes. Actually, no. Question, for myself. Is Jim Webb? Is he still running?
No.
No. Oh.
No, he dropped out right after the last debate. Yeah, right after the second debate.
Oh, really?
He dropped out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's our audience think? Would they vote for him as an independent? Ryan?
Yeah, everyone has. Well, a lot of people have been saying from the beginning that he should have ran as a independent, but I think the general consensus is Bernie or bust. Especially, the people tuning into this stream are pretty hard in for Bernie, so
Diehards.
it's easy to say. Yeah, it's easy to say that they would write him in or vote for him as an independent. One person did bring up the idea, though, that going back to talking about whether or not the DNC would support Bernie if he got the nomination, Robin Morris asked if there would be reason to take Hillary on as his vice president.
Oh, jeez.
God.
To me, sounds ridiculous.
Who's going to slip Bernie the acid before he makes that decision?
First of all, I just got, hi, Robin Morris. You would ask that question. Robin is one of our big fans and a supporter and donated to the crowd fund and actually sends me emails. And yeah, ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. He'd have to be on drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to, guys, really quick. We got a message here from Michael Briggs. I'm just going to read you a little bit of this. It says, during the early afternoon in Amherst today, 3,400 people watched from inside UMass Fine Arts Center. So that was a good thing. And what we just missed in Worcester or Worcester or however it's supposed to be pronounced.
Worcester.
Thank you.
Worcester, Mass.
As dusk fell, the senator spoke to an impromptu gathering of 300 people in overcoats and Patriots stocking hats. Inside the school, another 2,700 people packed the gym and 2 overflow rooms to listen to Sanders' hour-long stump speech. And what else do we got here? It says, the 2 campaign stops in Massachusetts came on the same day when Sanders disclosed that his campaign raised $33 million in the final 3 months of 2015. That brought their fundraising tally for the year to $73 million, almost all of it from small donors. Altogether, Sanders received more than 2.5 million donations in 2015 from 1 million different individuals. Sanders said, "We will not accept a political system which is increasingly corrupt, which allows billionaires to buy elections. But together, we are going to create a government that represents all of us and not just a handful of billionaires." The Massachusetts primary is one of 11 Super Tuesday contests the Democrats are to hold on March 1st. There you go, guys. There's your news.
GoRally.co.
Yes, go rally. Celeste, you want to talk about this veteran? This guy really was sad.
Yeah. So a little over a year and a half ago, I became a street activist, and that happened as a result of just the final blow to me was the McCutcheon ruling by the courts, the Supreme Court. Through my actions, I've gotten involved with Code Pink Women for Peace, as well as the local chapter of Veterans for Peace, and that would be Dallas Chapter 106. There's a gentleman there, and I'm just going to refer to him as the fallen veteran. His family has asked that we not broadcast what took place. He and his wife were driving on Christmas Eve, and they were on their way home. A drunk driver crossed over into their lane and hit his side of the car head on. He was severely injured, and he was taken to hospital, and he hung on for a while, but he passed on Christmas Day. The man that I met is a very quiet man, a very thoughtful man. And, you know, John, you can just flip through those photographs as I talk, if you don't mind. I'd really like everyone to honor all of our veterans. I just use him today as something to remind you all that there are children serving out there. There are husbands, there are wives, there are sisters, there are brothers, there are mothers, there are fathers, sons and daughters. Tom was a very special man. He survived Vietnam. He was sickened by what he saw in Vietnam. He was physically sickened by what he experienced in Vietnam. And several years ago, he had to have double lung transplants. And my understanding is that as he was recovering from that, he started taking stock in his life. And he came out and he supported Veterans for Peace. He supported Code Pink. And he tolerated a lot of us little old ladies who are out there with street signs and, you know, pissing off law enforcement, different and sundry law enforcement agencies. But Tom was one of these people who, and, you know, sorry, my bad. He heard about a group of people who had started taking actions to have George Bush, Dick Cheney, and the rest of that administration arrested. They've held mock trials in absentia and found Bush and Cheney guilty. And Tom has made phone calls to senators and congresspeople, publications, media, anyone who was willing to listen. He'd reached out to, trying to figure out what we could do to get George Bush, Dick Cheney, and that administration arrested for crimes against humanity. I consider it an honor to have stood in protest lines and marches and held pink twinkly lights up against chain link fences so that people driving in their cars can see us on overpasses, to spread the message of peace and love and community, and that war is not the answer. We experienced a week in Nevada at Indian Springs at the Creech Air Force Base earlier this year. And you can just flip through those photos, John, if you want. It was an incredible experience being with veterans from World War II all the way through to the current actions that we are involved in. And not one veteran wants to see another child killed. And one of them told me that the reason that they go out and they do these things, the reason they go out and they fight for peace, is that they were trained as warriors and they don't know what else to do. They have to fight the war machine. That is the war they fight now. I would hope that everybody not just thanks a veteran, but if you really want to thank them, get them out of foreign conflict. Show them your respect. Show their families your respect. Call your senators. Call your congresspeople. Get these people the help they need, the support they need. Our veterans, our active duty service members, they do not need to be on food stamps. They do not need to be reliant upon any other government assistance than the check that we, the citizens, pay them for their military service. If they're going to be in the military, they should be paid a living wage. We should take care of our veterans. We have created at least $3 trillion worth of health care issues that we are going to have to pony up for. And you know what? Our soldiers, our sons, our daughters, our precious blood and treasure are fighting for rich people's resources, not us. They're not really protecting our country anymore. They're protecting us from the terrorists our actions for the wealthy have created. I really hope that you will keep this man and every other soldier in mind, and just remember that these are our children. This is our blood and treasure. Bring them home. Bring them home. Thank you for being here with us. We are going to close with a video, and Eddie, I'm going to let you take us out. Thank you for indulging me, John. Everyone else, thank you so much. Peace in 2016. Imagine it, and it can happen.
Yes,
you
it can.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
again,
Celeste.
My condolences to your friend. I'm very sorry that you had to go through that. I hope you feel better. Alright, everyone. This was an awesome / hectic night. I'm trying to get the stream done. But thank you all for coming tonight. And I cannot wait to see you guys next time. When's our next show, John?
That's a good question. I think
Tomorrow.
we're going to try to do. I think we're doing 2 shows tomorrow. I think
Nice.
I think we have a crazy volunteer. I'm not sure. I met Biff. Who's going to try to do both. I'll get news. I'll get information on that post as soon as we can. Today we're so crazy trying to get the live view thing working.
And we also have one coming up on Monday as well.
We do. There's one on Monday.
Evening. Right.
Monday, and then we've got shows. We've got stuff coming up all next week. Shows with Jesse T. Smith, and I think we have Native Life back. And but the 6th, the big one is January 6th. And I'll just say this: if anybody's in Iowa, near Scott Galindez, we'll try to find out exactly where Scott is. I think he's in Des Moines. I need to get some help, the live view unit from Scott to where Bernie's going to be on on January 6th. So that's really what I'm pushing for right now. We've got these other streams that I think we're going to do tomorrow and Monday, but I'm focused on getting the JJ dinner done, because this may be the first one of these that we can actually broadcast well and not have to worry about getting shut down by corporately owned media. And I want to back up on Celeste, talk about vets before we go out. My father is a vet. My brother is a vet. I could not be a vet because of medical reasons. We have destroyed these human beings, and we've let our government not foot the bill. I mean, I don't understand how we could spend 54% of our income on war, but then when we bring human beings home, we're told that we don't have enough money to take care of them. And Wall Street execs get golden parachutes when they fuck up the entire country, and they get to retire at ease. And I think we should go find Wall Street execs and take their money and hand it directly to veterans. I think we should go find CEOs and take their money and hand it directly to veterans, because really that's where the exchange got wrong. The money that was supposed to care for our veterans, these veterans that basically went to war to make Wall Street rich. Right? These guys come home, and we're told by our government we can't help them.
I don't understand why. It's our government. If we want to put all our money into vets, we can. What's stopping us? The only people stopping us are the people we put in charge of our government. So the moment we take them out of charge and put some people in there who understand that our vets should be cared for better than we care for our politicians, should be making better money than our politicians, in my opinion. They have harder jobs. Politicians got easy jobs, okay? No offense, you guys in suit and ties in White House. You got easy jobs. You live like kings and queens these days, and that needs to change. Our veterans should be living like you do, and you should be working like a vet has to every day to survive. And that's my goal in 2016, is to make that happen. Please help me share this message with politicians, corporately owned assholes and other people that are trying to destroy our veterans and go to war again. Please share this message. Share the anger with me, because we're all this passionate and angry about it. None of us understand how you could be a politician, sit in office and say, nah, I can't find any more money for vets. Sorry. There's homeless ones? Nah, they don't get any money. We don't have. But on the other hand, GE needs a couple trillion to build some more fighter planes. Definitely need to get those fighter planes built, because we told GE we would give them that money anyway. Yeah, this is the problem with our government. Tell your politicians, get angry. Tell them that we want to take the money out of their hands and put it back into the hands of our vets, because they should be living like kings and queens today, not our politicians in suits and ties. I just wanted to add that. Eddie, this was a good show for you, man, and I'm sorry that a bunch of big old people took it over. You did a great job. Tell us how we're wrapping up. Tell us what this song is, and we're going to cut into it, and we're going to end the show. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with our shit today. Eddie, it's yours.
Ooh, I don't think I did as well as I could have today.
You did great.
But back to the real issues. This was an amazing show, despite whatever happened. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ryan, for comment moderating. Thank you, Celeste, for doing this, for co-hosting with me. Thank you, John, for doing all this. I'd like to thank Janine, wherever she is, for giving us to stream, for trying to get us to stream, working very hard for it. Tonight, we're closing out with
Sydney Matthews.
Huh?
Sydney Matthews for comment modding.
And Cynthia, I'm very sorry. Cynthia for comment modding, Sean for comment modding, Liberal Patriot, Eric, and 20 other people that I cannot find at the moment. But yeah, whoever helped us out, and and everyone who was here, thank you again. You guys are awesome. Tonight we're closing out with Miss Sahis, the Bernie Sanders song, #Feel the Burn, in parentheses, my wife liked us. Let's take it away.
Walking down 10th Street, turn on Main, I'm looking for to join Bernie's campaign. Bernie, he's good for you and me. I said, come on Bernie, won't you come on quick? This old Donald Trump gonna make me sick. Cocaine and Bernie on my brain. Well, every time me and Bernie try to get on CNBC, they just put Donald Trump there instead of Bernie. I don't understand. Bernie's on my mind. Well, come on Bernie, won't you come on soon, cause Hillary Clinton gonna put us on the moon. Bernie, around my brain. Walking down 10th Street, turn on Main, I'm looking forward to join the Bernie Sanders campaign. Bernie's on my brain. I said, come on Bernie, won't you come on quick? This old Donald Trump gonna make me sick. Oh Bernie, on my brain. Well, every time the police come to Bernie's campaign, they just wanna drink champagne, cause they know Bernie's gonna save the world. I said, come on Bernie, won't you come on quick? Old Donald Trump gonna make us sick. Oh, my brain. Well, doctors say that Trump's for horses, not for men, and they say he's gonna kill us, and we all know when. Oh, Bernie, he's on our brain. What's up, Doc?
Huge